Leafs don't really get traction throughout this game. Like it just never felt like a game where they grabbed the play. The late penalty though on I didn't think it was bad. It was just a loss. The late penalty on Marner leads to Sheldon Keefe getting kicked out. Now the late penalty on Marner the reason people were booing it is a penalty. But the reason people were booing it is that this part of the year is where the refs start to go, we're going to do less.
Dude.
And that's an early season penalty. That's probably not a late season penalty. I guess we're mid-season.
It's a 50-50 call. And do you ever notice that as the season progresses, there are more and more and more 50-50 calls? And the playoffs are basically exclusively 50-50 calls in that the ref... I mean, are you watching playoff hockey? Great. It's an infraction. Everything is an infraction in the playoffs. It's up to the discretion of the ref. The more and more discretion of the officials comes into play, the less and less you want a coach that the refs frigging hate. And you're just not going to get the right side of the 50-50 with Sheldon Keefe as your head coach behaving this way.
Mm-hmm.
He's been doing the same thing for years and years. And I know he's echoing Leaf fans. And I know Sheldon Keefe is stealing my bit. He's yelling and screaming because the Leafs are doing poorly, and fans latch onto that and they go, that's awesome, because they feel the catharsis. That's gimmick infringement, Sheldon. That's supposed to be my thing. But the difference is I'm some YouTuber. He's the head coach, and he has to deal with these guys, and they very obviously hate his guts.
Part of the game of hockey, unfortunately, at the NHL level, is being friends with the referees. That's a part of getting the benefit of the doubt. Is, do they like you? Do they think when you yell and scream that you're correct? Mm-hmm. Are you mostly correct? Do you berate them mid-play on national television? All of that stuff, unfortunately, is a factor when it comes to NHL refereeing. And in a case where it looked like from the angle where the referee's standing, Mitch Marner tripped him. I don't like the call. Okay. I understand why he made that call. It's bad. It's a bad angle. I don't even think the guy right here makes the call. I think it's the one who's up at the blue line. It looks like he trips him. But regardless of that, Sheldon Keefe is actively hurting the Toronto Maple Leafs every single time he yells at an official like this, because they're going to say every single time there's these 50-50 calls, we're not giving you the benefit of the doubt. And he needs to learn that you need to play the game if you want to win games.
Willie was telling him to chill.
Yeah, when William Nylander has to be the guy to tell you to chill out, you know you're in the wrong.
And it wasn't
he's not going to speak up for anything.
It wasn't that he screamed at him. Every
because Mike Johnson even said that he was like he was right in between the benches. He was like he was pretty calm.
The moment that got Keefe really in trouble was when the referee told him enough. And then he kept going after I think I don't know if it was a TV timeout or just a timeout on the ice. They had a new puck drop or whatever. Keefe went back at him. Once the ref tells you enough, the dude's your daddy. Like when you're playing the game, the ref's got to be your dad. You got to listen. When you tell Everly enough, she's got to listen, or there's going to be consequences.
She listens.
You bet your ass. Sheldon
like all
Keefe,
children. Yes.
I don't know who was the referee that night, but when he tells you enough, it's gotta be enough. You can't keep poking the bear, because there's gonna be consequences. You're gonna cost your team fucking power plays and penalties. It's awful.
I always talk about how refs are oversensitive babies, and there are a lot of situations where that's true, and we see it across other sports. Like maybe hockey doesn't have it so bad. Man, the more I watch baseball, the more I want robot umps so
They're
bad.
coming.
Oh my God. Yeah, thank God.
So Darren Drager said that refs around the league were smiling because Keefe got thrown out.
Yeah, because
that's how it works.
You can't keep doing that. And so, sorry, the point I was trying to make, refs are sensitive babies, whatever. But the very non-sensitive thing that they do is they'll make a call, they'll go to the bench, and all right, here is your allotted time to yell at me.
Referees are, we don't give them credit for being good at taking abuse.
Yes.
Because they don't only take abuse from head coaches, they take abuse from the players all day long.
Yes.
The players can yell and scream on the way to the penalty box and everything, but once they tell you, like, okay, you've yelled enough profanities at me, like, let's chill a little, then you better chill.
Yeah.
Because they'll take it for a little bit.
I'm going to go to the bench. You have 20 to 30 seconds to just call me every name in the book.
And Sheldon Keefe got everything he wanted out. He did it. And then he kept going.
He got his money's worth, and then he got more than his money's
Now
worth.
Now it's gonna cost him $25,000.
This
You
is going
think
to be
so? Hold on. You guys think he's
100%.
going to be suspended? Or sorry, not suspended. You think he's going to be fined? He didn't say anything after the game.
Yeah, because he knows he's getting fined. I'm willing to bet someone was like, Sheldon, you're getting fined.
I think an ejection in the NHL comes with a fine.
Does it?
And I said this.
No, I don't mean like it literally does. I think
Oh.
when the NHL looks at it saying you did so much to get ejected, we're going to also fine you.
Adam, let me ask you something, and I promise this is related. What's the meal you're most excited for whenever it happens?
Oh man, I love a good ribs. I love some steak. I
That's
love
good.
wings.
You
Things like
got
that.
some sashimi downstairs.
I do have some sashimi downstairs. I'm really pumped about that.
And when you sit down for your favorite meal, what do you-
Adam ordered some 10 a.m. sushi.
Yeah,
I know
I was
he's a
hungry.
legend for that.
I was hungry.
Like, and
I wanted the protein, baby.
what do you do? You tuck the napkin in your shirt,
Sure.
and you sit down, knife and fork like a Bugs Bunny cartoon, and you go, can't wait for this. Yum, 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 yum. That's NHL head office getting a chance to fine Sheldon Keefe today.
So do you think then that?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
You know why?
Why?
Not just because of his history, because he's been fined before, his history and consistent abuse of officials
And high sticking.
Yes.
and high
No
sticking
history.
and history.
No, history. Yeah.
And of course, Jesse, there's always history. I thought it was appropriate.
Oh, so they're getting him back
Oh,
for the Morgan
the
Riley.
Riley.
thing.
They
comment.
couldn't fine him for that. I'm sure they looked into it. I bet they thought about it. Morgan Riley cross-checks a player in the face. Hey, Sheldon, what do you think? I thought it was appropriate. And did you notice in the appeal ruling,
They mentioned it.
they mentioned it. And
Mhm.
Morgan Riley, who's one of the Leafs' leaders, he's the assistant captain. And depending on who you ask, he's their captain, the
Mhm.
people's captain. You know what I mean? He's one of the leaders on the Leafs. Disavowed his head coach to the commissioner of the NHL in a published statement. Just to give you an idea of how hot under the collar the league was about those comments from Sheldon Keefe. Everyone's saying 25,000. I've had a chance to sleep on it. It's his second fine, and they hate his guts. It might be more.
I don't know. Are they allowed to do that?
Whatever
Actually, I
they
think they
can
are.
legally do,
What's the
they will
maximum?
do to this man.
Maximum allowable under the CBA.
Well-
He's not in the CBA because he'd be in the coaches. CBA,
Yeah, he should
right?
put a skate and gloves on. And oh no, I'm a player. Oh, never mind.
It's 5
Then we're gonna dock your fine down to a fifth.
Mm-hmm.
Friggin' ridiculous. They're gonna throw the book directly between his eyes.
Okay. I guess we'll see.
Are you not convinced?
No,
No,
not really.
You think he'll?
I'm sure
he'll
he gets.
start?
I'm sure he gets 25 if he's going to get fined at all. I thought we would have heard something by now, right?
That's fair.
That's why it's like 12:06.
Usually
as of
it
this
comes
recording.
like morning after. Yeah.
Especially when they're trying to send a message.
I bet
Yeah.
by
When they're
the
trying to
end-
hide something, it's 4:00 on a Friday, right?
Yeah.
This should be a pretty cut and dry thing. Like we should know that he's fine by now.
Mhm.
So the
Don't-
longer this takes, the more I'm like, oh,
Now-
they are scraping every page of every book to be like, what else can we ding this guy for?
If you're Leafs management,
Mm.
I mean, there's nothing you could do about Sheldon's reputation around the league. He's not going to fix that before the playoffs.
You're not going to change who he is.
No, but you're also like he can't all of a sudden get warm and fuzzy with the refs.
Yeah.
I know who I want to talk to him.
Okay.
What point?
Am I
No,
gonna-
no,
am I
go
gonna
ahead.
ask
Go
a
ahead.
question, or-
Go ahead. Sorry. Your turn.
If you're Shanny, if you're Brad Treliving, do you not go to him and say, "Hey, you remember what happened with Michael Bunting last year, don't you?"
Not those two. Shanahan, definitely not.
Mirko Bibic, CEO of Bell,
Yes.
and Tony Staffieri, CEO of Rogers. Listen, our stock prices are riding on this, Sheldon. Larry seems too nice.
He does seem too nice. Nope, not Brendan. Brendan's been there the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Sheldon's not going to listen to anything Brendan's already told him.
Okay.
Brad? Oh, they had a 17-hour meeting before the season began. You know who needs to talk to Sheldon Keefe? He was a captain in the NHL, and fans of the team that he played for always clutch their pearls whenever you tell them about his reputation outside of their fan base. This player used to get away with friggin' murder. I want someone in Leaf management by the name of Shane Doan to go down there.
Yep. Oh, I like that.
And tell Sheldon Keefe in the politest, calmest way he can, calm the hell down. Here's how you do it. If there's anyone, like we always talk about, like the Leafs' relationship with the refs. And it's something that I think they're actively trying to fix. And I think they've made inroads, and Keefe keeps friggin' erasing it and canceling it out. Shane Doan ran amok for 2 decades in the NHL. His just chicken winging the hell out of everybody. And it was like him and Dustin Brown had a competition. Which captain can get away with more for longer?
Mm-hmm.
He's got to go down there and be the one to be like, here's how it works in the show. Listen, I know you've been a coach here for a little while and you had your cup of coffee playing. Here's what it's actually like.
I'm not convinced that you can change Sheldon Keefe to, like you said, Adam, make him warm and fuzzy, but I'm convinced you can tell him to dial it back a little and just like chill. And I don't care who it comes from. I think somebody who can tell him, hey, this isn't how you can go about your business from now on. I think he'll listen.
Sheldon Keefe reminds me of the football players from Super Mario. You know the Super Mario players that you can't jump on their head? Jump on their head and you just bounce off, but they'll run through you. You know what I'm talking about? Like it's like I go left or I go right or I go straight, but I don't do the shimmy. I just go bang, bam, bam, almost essentially. And I just don't know. Can you? And you know what? I think it's a question too. Is it because I'll be honest with you. I'm among the minority of Leaf fans who kind of liked that he got kicked out last night. Because I did feel a little bit fuck you about it. And I
believe me.
And we see it in the MLB all the time. I know it's a different sport, but we see it all the time in the MLB. Mm-hmm. Here comes and a lot of times it's staged. Like here comes the manager, and the manager's like, "Hey," and the ump's like, "Get out of here."
Yeah.
But the manager didn't say anything.
But in baseball, there's no consequences for it. You know, calls aren't gonna start going against you if you do that. If you give an umpire a piece of your mind, you know, you're not gonna start getting less balls and strikes. The strike zone's gonna be what it is. You got to call guys safer out and everything. But in the NHL, there's all these 50-50 calls that they might just not give you.
Right. Like
and MLB, I'm like, listen, the dude who's umping your son's softball game or whatever, like it's different.
Oh no, we're talking about professionals, not parents.
Why
do we have to make that distinction?
No, MLB
why
umpires.
I
don't know why
because I'm about to friggin' say.
Okay, sorry.
MLB umpires, I just don't respect as people. Like you're garbage at your job. You're garbage at your job. And you need to go away.
One guy.
That's not nice.
Listen, I hope everyone unionizes and gets their rights and gets increased pay and has workers' protection, except for those guys. Those guys stink.
Here's what I want to say, and Steve brought this up in the video last night. Toronto's league rank in power play time by season. Now, you got to remember, Toronto's always had a top-tier power play, but this is kind of nuts. So 16-17.
Adam, did you want to expand on you liked that he got thrown out? Because I don't think you got
No, I think you should.
I liked it because I do feel, and I'll illustrate it later with the Kevin Papetti stat, that I do feel like Toronto is its own animal. I do think it's treated that way. I do think that there are calls that I'm like, okay, that in that game is the exact same as what happened here. Like, all you have to do, you don't even have to do something recent. Do yourself a favor as a fan. Go back and look at Nazem Kadri's suspensions in the playoffs.
Explain it to me like I'm 5. I still haven't gotten an answer.
And then go look at all the other egregious shit. Pick a player. Jamie Benn has done.
Nick Cousins,
Sam Bennett. And it's like here's how crazy it is. Brad Marchand licked a guy twice on the Toronto Maple Leafs, and all he got was a reprimand from his own management group,
from his team, who were like,
"Hey, Brad,
don't do that."
Lol. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I put my hand on the wrong side. Lol.
And by the way, I completely understand that Toronto's its own thing. I completely understand that. I get it. It's treated differently. It is. Like, you can't tell me it's not. So for Sheldon Keefe to kind of get booted out of the game for that, it was a soft call on Marner. I really like that somebody within the organization has the kind of passion to say F you. However, the other side of that, because that's the caveman side of me, and I fully admit that I have that. I know that fights aren't good for people. It doesn't mean I don't like watching them.
Oh, you're telling me I don't have dude, a little caveman part of me was like, good.
Yeah, 100%. That's what I felt too. And I know that is not, it's like when you lose your temper.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it's exactly like what happens when you lose your temper.
No, that's quite exactly.
In the moment, you're like, boy, that feels good. And afterwards, you're like, boy, do I regret that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wonder if Nylander is telling him to calm down, and Nylander is the calmest of the calm. I do wonder if that can affect leadership. Coaches are leaders. And so as much as I really liked it, I still have the ability to say, it might not have been the greatest idea. And I think that's I'm split on it. I really am. But I did like it. I'm not going to lie.
Tavares showed some emotion last night.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
For God's sakes.
Yeah.
I know that's not his thing. He's not an emotional guy.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, okay, they're going to have a banger of a third. And we got instead. Listen, get angry, lose your temper in a way that's productive. And
yes.
I don't think Sheldon Keefe is being productive right now. He's hurting the chance of the Leafs winning games every time he does that stuff.